The NHL playoff picture is still up in the air, but here in Winnipeg, fans are confident the arena will echo with the sound of white noise again.
Let's go! Go, Jets, go! Winnipeg is back in the big leagues and over the moon.
Welcome back to the landing strip, and it's nice to be back doing this. Before I bring Mikey in, I'm gonna answer Toronto Sports Network 243's question here with, "Where have you been, Nick?" So, if you've been around social media, you've probably seen some stuff. I know I made some vague announcements on the last couple of shows that I was going to be going in for a surgery. So I'm going to use my platform here to kind of talk about it a little bit. Then we're going to get into the game, and then we're going to bring back Zach Squirtle because we need the vibes back. I see the chat's asking for it. But pretty crazy month in my life, and I want to try. I know there's a lot of men that listen to my podcast here, so I'm hoping I can help some other men if something comes up here. So in the last few weeks, I've been dealing with a testicular cancer diagnosis and losing a testicle this month because something had acted up. And the one thing that, you get a diagnosis like that, it's pretty, changes your perspective a little bit. It's pretty tough mentally, kind of thinking about the big C word and what that all means. Fortunately, testicular cancer, the Lance Armstrong, is like the most curable form. The big thing that I took away from all of this is we caught it really early. I caught it within weeks. Like the first time I went in, it wasn't even visible. So I was kind of on top of that. And like those first few times going to the hospital, when I was like thanking doctors and nurses while I was in distress, I found it crazy thinking back how often the response back was like, "Thank you," and how young men don't tend to come in until it's too late. And, I've been learning a lot over the last few weeks. Under 34 is the most common age group for testicular cancer. And I just want, I guess, use this platform to say, hey, if like something's off, go get it checked out because, you know, you might be saving yourself from years and years of more trouble. As of a week before the surgery, it had not spread in my case, and I'm hoping when I find out more results in the coming weeks, that'll be the case. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of use this platform to say, hey, this happened. This is what I'm going through. It's been tough, but hey, if something comes up for you, I can be a resource to talk to. I know it's not necessarily an easy conversation, but I just look back and just thought it was really crazy as a patient, as someone that was really like in a tough spot. I was getting thanks for coming in so quick because it's so uncommon. So, fellas, something's up. My rule of thumb's always been my head, my chest, or my nuts. I'm getting looked at. Just be wary for it because you just never know. I'm pretty sure I'll be in the clear. We'll see where that goes. I'm optimistic. And we'll go from there. Mikey, how about you come back into the show, buddy?
Hey, it's I'm glad to be back doing this with all you guys. You know, I think we can all say that we're real happy that, you know, you're feeling better, you're doing better, and that you went and you got that checked out, you know, nice and early. To piggyback what Nik said, you know, if you notice something weird, go get it checked out. Talk to your boys. You can ask them, right? Be like, hey, there's nothing wrong with being like, is this normal? Because like I'm not sure. You know, talk to each other, talk to your doctors, talk to your pharmacists, whoever, you know. But yeah, so I'm happy that we're back doing this. I've been missing the games. I've been missing our chat. So I'm real excited.
Hey, I'm excited to get in, though. I got to break it to Scott Westman, who says, top line promised me free booze. I've been repping merch all week. What the fuck? Shout out to Scott Westman. He sent me a good story this week that he was buying booze on Saturday. And I guess the cashier was a listener and was curious if that was me. So I want to thank Scott for the support. I want to thank the cashier out at the LC. That was a great little story this week. But before we get into this game, and this red hot 7 straight wins Winnipeg Jets team. There's a tradition here on win night, is there not, Mikey?
Oh, it's time. Ask and you shall receive.
Oh, baby, 7 straight. 7 straight. Crazy.
Woo!
It's crazy, man. Turd Ferguson says, your voice doesn't seem higher. How's your singing? I was actually excited to come here tonight, and there was some good news out of this, right? Like I know some of our regular chatters on YouTube really want to see us get a call girl invited because it's the landing strip. I mean, hey, I'm one ball closer to Nicole hosting this thing, so the fellas might be wound up with the news tonight.
You never know. We'll have to see how that goes.
Definitely nice, but let's get into this. Luke and Buster wants to run it back 7 times. I think we might overdo it doing it tonight, though we have missed it. The Winnipeg Jets, Eric Comrie gets a shutout. Power play 2 comes up with 2. Rasmus Kupari scores on a goalie to put this one out of reach.
Ooh.
Matt Prefontaine, 2 for 2, maybe the low-key MVP. I know he's becoming your hero.
Yes, sir.
Good things continue to happen for this Winnipeg Jets team over this last stretch.
It's incredible to see what they've been able to accomplish during this run. 7 straight games, top of the charts. They're on, you know, sitting at the top of the table. They put it to Washington. They slayed that dragon going back to, you know, the early old Southeast Division days. So that was nice to see. Power play 2 coming out, opening the scoring in the last 2 games. Absolutely wrecking on the scoreboard again tonight. I don't know if you want to call it Power Play 2, Power Play 1A, Power Play just the other one, because they produce at a rate that's better than most teams' Power Play 1 right now. It's absolutely unreal. The special teams are just incredible. And if this season doesn't end with a banner hanging in that MTS Center with how historically good and just fun to watch the special teams are, I'd be shocked at this point. This is again, we're not there yet, and you know, we've still got the trade deadline to go, but man, this just feels like it's part of something special.
Yeah, you know me. I'm about as pessimistic as they come when it comes to the Winnipeg Jets at times. And like this last few weeks, all without Adam Lowry, by the way,
Yep.
which is no small feat. It like, how do you not buy in and want to get hurt again by this team right now? Like they're doing it so consistently. All of a sudden, a line that was miserable to watch in Perfetti, Ehlers, and Nemestikov is just buzzsawing teams right now. Did not see that coming.
Right.
And the power play, like you said, you might as well just call it power play A and power play A1 because both units are a threat to score every time they step on the ice. It's become quite the tool. I think it was Sports TSN put up, it scored multiple goals, or it's scored in like 67% of the games this year.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And the next closest team was, I think, at 55 was the next highest for percentage of games scored. It's unreal. I don't know if we've ever seen a run like this where both units are just absolutely on fire. It's great because we've talked about it before, but they give you such different looks on each unit that the defense doesn't have a whole lot of time to adjust. Like the penalty kill that they're going up against is getting completely run around on both units because they do different things so well. And it is something that we have to capitalize on. It's even more reason to go out and get a big ad and keep pushing because man, this is fun.
Okay, we're gonna give the people what they want here. As Toronto Sports Network says, how about one more Squirtle sacks for this shutout? And you know what? I want to celebrate Eric Comrie today. I thought this was a well-deserved shutout. There were some really quality looks there. The one thing Carolina did do real well in this, especially early, was they jumped over the Jets' turnovers. You think of the first shift of the game, Sandberg lets that one go right up the middle.
Yep.
Pionk right after it. There was one from Stan 2 shifts after, and then you saw that shift in the second that stands out to me, and it's my big. I know the offensive explosion, and he's scoring those rock star slap shot goals on the power play that are just so fun to be a part of on Neil Pionk.
Yep.
But he sends that one up Scheifele's ass, and then the Rantanen line takes over the game for a bit, and then Carolina gets a second line. It's those type of things that you want to see cleaned up. And Comrie handled it really well tonight. So, you know what? For Eric Comrie, and in the first shutout, he was getting some hate when losing 7 in a row, despite, you know what? He's been an average goalie in the NHL this year at a league minimum salary. He's been solid. Let's celebrate it with one more sack squirtle for the crowd today.
One more for Comrie. And we were gone for a while, so that's just good to feel. That's just good to have.
It feels good to be back. It feels good to be back. And I gotta remember, hey, this show is brought to you by Farm Financial. I was talking to Ozzy. I know he's excited to have more content coming out from us. Wanted to give him a shout out. Rat River Revel goes a place I wanted to go, and I know me and you are kind of the Perfetti apologists, even in the down times.
Yes, sir.
Rat River Rebel says, how about Perfetti? He's been looking great. Or should I say Prick Perfetti?
Damn right.
How are you feeling about Cole Perfetti lately? And how are we feeling about this group right now?
I told everybody that it was going to come with Perfetti. The points are going to come. He was doing the right things on the ice. And we're getting to see the fruits of that come up now. So in the 5 games coming into tonight, since he's had the Prick-a-sons, he had 4 goals and 4 assists in the last 5 games coming into tonight. So I don't think he got his name on the scoreboard or on the box score tonight, but he was all over a lot of the game. He had another great showing. I thought he was absolutely incredible again. He's a player, man. He is a smart player. He does things so well with the puck. He does things so well without the puck. He's exactly what the Jets need there, and if they can get him, on a line that's going like it is right now, you're getting to see the points finally. So, yeah, this is the Cole Perfetti I knew we were gonna get. The Cole Perfetti I knew was in there. He just needed to get it out, and hey, if becoming the Prick TM is what it took, fuck it, let's go. I love it.
Yeah, the thing is, like, development isn't always linear and a straight upwards path, right?
Yep.
And the thing we were talking about, obviously, a lot of Cole Perfetti in in some of the Discord chats, some of the Twitter stuff and whatnot. And the thing I keep coming back to is, even if he is simply a 50-point player with how good he is defensively at his age and the high IQ, that is a quality asset in the middle six of any team, whether you're contending, whether you're looking to make a step. And you're seeing now that offensive confidence starting to go. I'm going to start, honestly, it's been I haven't been as invested as of late, let's put it that way. So I'm going to actually look over the next few weeks to take a look at some video of that line previous, and some of that could be attributed to Vlad being hurt during some of that stretch.
Absolutely.
And what's kind of going right for that group. And I want to get a deeper dive into it, but they're really attacking teams well off the rush. Now, you saw a couple times Perfetti drops to Ehlers, who finds Vlad. Ehlers goes cross ice, and then they find the streaking guy. Like they've really become a dangerous group off that rush. And I like what Zooch40 had to say here over on Twitch, where he says this team's structure took Bones' defense and seemingly perfected it with counterpunch transition game. And you're seeing a lot of that. The Winnipeg Jets have become a team that's become a lot better at getting stops defensively. And then they're dangerous, sending 3, sometimes 4 guys up the ice. And that's something that's really just stood out for me with that line, and why it's looked the part more than what we saw earlier this year.
Yeah, you can tell that the counterattack is something they've been really focusing on, really practicing over and over again, because it looks so smooth. They've really found the timing, which that's what that is, right? Any type of counterattack is based entirely on timing. So you have to get that puck to the right spot at the right time. And you can tell that they're just on another level right now with being able to nail that timing. And it shows, because they can take a group that really kind of doesn't work if you're, kind of break it down on paper, and they're still finding success with it because they've been able to work around it and just, work a little harder.
Yeah, no, it's been good to see, and again, it opens up more options. I'm still one that wants to see more of that Ehlers Lowry look. I know we only got a few games of it, but that was something that was really exciting to me. Also, what's coming out of this stretch, Nino Niederreiter is clearly that guy that could drive a third line. Yep. I think that's a big thing for the team to see, though it kind of seems like I think we're inching closer to going back to plan A. If you look at some of how the lines are set up.
Oh yeah.
But what I don't know, man. Cole Perfetti's growth is something big here. The top line, when they're on tonight, wasn't one of those nights, unfortunately. But they've been able to take over games offensively, and this power play being a weapon, Connor Hellebuck being the best goalie, this team's given you a lot of reasons, man.
Yeah, and I'm real curious what's going to happen when Adam Lowry comes back. Do they go back to the experiment that they were running that was having great results? There was no reason outside of the injury to go away from it. Or do they settle back into the comfortable shoe and drop him onto the third line? I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see, because it unlocks something, I feel like, with Lowry there. But if the results are coming right now without him, at least I'm happy, right? They're picking up the points without Lowry in the lineup. They haven't lost track. They haven't lost pace. They're still pulling in that direction. So, I'm real impressed with it. And getting a player like Lowry back is always a positive.
Really interesting comp from Choices with the Perfetti and he calls it the RNH path to success. RNH was supposed to be a scorer, but has become a responsible defensive forechecking forward with offensive upside. And he kind of suffered from the same thing, right? Top 10 picks, you expect the offense to come first. I continue to be happy with where 23-year-old Cole Perfetti's game's going personally.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like you said, the development isn't always linear, right? You're not always just going to be on a rocket ship heading up. There's going to be dips. There's going to be, drops, especially in point production. But as long as he's doing things the right way, even when the points aren't coming, I'm not worried about a guy at that point. And that's just why I haven't been worried about Cole. That's why I haven't wanted to move him out unless it's for something massive and impactful now. Because I think you need that slightly cheaper contract and a guy who can outperform that value if you're going to be making a deep run. So we'll have to see what comes up at the deadline. But right now, I'm absolutely loving Cole Perfetti and what he's bringing.
And I gotta say, if you thought I was annoyingly a Cole Perfetti fan before, if he keeps adding a prick element, there's nothing I enjoy more. So excited about that dynamic. Michael Hem sums it up pretty well here too, with how him and 27 have been playing. If Nemestikov didn't have stone hands, he'd be at 30 goals by now. kicks that one in today, crashing the net.
Yep.
He's clearly playing better hockey with that group, but it does feel like a 2C with some offensive touch would get a little bit more juice out of that group right now.
Yeah, they're, you know, it's a first place team. They just won, all that stuff in tow. But there are very clearly two kind of black holes of offense in the forward group. When everybody's healthy, when the lineup is gone the way that Scott Arniel wants. One of those is Vlad Nemestikov. That's just kind of the way that it is, and the other one's Mason Appleton. I think both of those are spots that you would like to see a more offensive NHL player in that place if you're going to have a deep playoff run. But hey, it's it worked out okay tonight. But yeah, I still think those are the two spots that you want to upgrade in the forwards.
So Turd Ferguson, last on the Perfetti stuff, we'll move on to another topic here. Says, so no Perfetti for Besser. I wouldn't trade Cole Perfetti for any rental. I don't think a guy like Brock Besser will fetch that level of return.
No.
I don't think Brock Nelson would either. I saw some of that talk in the market.
No.
It does not align with what those players have gotten traditionally at deadlines.
Yeah.
I just don't think you need to move a piece like that to fill one of those holes, really.
Completely
Picture.
Agree. Yeah, you're not going to lose Perfetti for a rental. The Jets wouldn't do it. There'd be no reason to. That's way out of the value range for that. So, yeah, he'd only be included in something if it's going to be a massive, game-changing hockey, quote-unquote hockey trade. So we can rest easy, I think, on that one.
I quoted the wrong person, not Turd Ferguson, Tico Napoli. That's my bad. Tristan Panchek says, go somewhere I want to go. There's a couple of players I do want to talk about today. We haven't gotten to talk big picture Jets in a while.
Yep.
And Tristan Panchek goes, thoughts on the Gus Bus in the last few games? I have and forever will be a Gus Bus believer.
Yep.
The details in his game are just so strong. And he's someone that I would trust to go out there and do the right thing 80 to 90% of the time. Like in my books, I look at him as the 4C I would play in Winnipeg all the time. There's just so much he could do. He's now putting some points together. I've always been a believer in Gus's game since he was playing with the Moose. Ultimately, what I truly believe is I think you see David Gustafsson in a trade at the deadline. Actually, that's where I'm starting to lean here.
Interesting. Yeah, he's been great in the games that he's played. The only thing he needs to get better is more NHL games. I truly believe he's got the tools. He thinks the game well. I think he knows what to do out there. I think it's just adapting to the speed, and he's been doing that real well the last few games. So, yeah, he's and I mean this in the nicest way. He's giant tiger Adam Lowry. You know what I mean? He does a lot of things kind of similarly to Lowry, just not at that same type of level right now. But he's great on that fourth line. I have no issue him centering that fourth line or even on a wing, depending on how things shake out later on. But that's interesting that you think that he might be one of the pieces included in a trade.
Here, so I'll walk you through it actually. And Ticona, I actually do think he would be involved in a deal like that. He screams Vancouver Canuck to me, but it would cost more on top. Why I think you might see Gus Bus in a trade is I think he's shown this, that Kupari is Arniel's ideal player for that spot with the add of speed, and we know this team wants to play at a quicker pace.
Yep.
Though I think Gus Bus makes such good decisions that he could play at pace anyways. But I think it's safe to say that Kupari's ahead of Gus on the whole pedestal, and if the team brings in a 2C, that's going to make Gus another step lower. This is already without Adam Lowry, and he's still a 23-year-old center that I think could play 300 to 500 games in this league. Still a young player, kind of like matches the whole Jack Drury was part of that big trade, right?
Yep.
Fills that kind of element to a trade. And I just think it's one of those situations where he'll fall so far down the depth chart with an ad, and he'll have value elsewhere because of the premium position that I could see him being a part of a deal.
Who do you think brings more value in a trade to other organizations, Gus or Lambeau?
Oh, Lambeau by a mile. I don't think Gus has like much trade value in a thing. I just think it'd be like a roster player,
it'll be
third
a player
piece
to include just to get him some opportunity. So not looking at it as a value thing, just that it's a piece that you include to kind of get him a better spot.
Like the whole Kupari aspect of the trade with the PLD trade.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yep.
Yeah, good player, but I think he's one of those guys you could see just added on to the end of the deal to squeeze a little more value and go play NHL minutes for a lesser team. Could be wrong, just a feeling there on that one.
Just a vibe. I like it. It's interesting because bringing in another C is going to create more of a log jam. But it'll be real interesting to see if the Jets go for a hockey trade that does move a little bit of space on the main roster, right? Or if they're going to just be grabbing a pure rental and it's just going to create more of a crowded situation where you've got to find space for these young guys. Yeah, I'm real curious to see because both are very different outlooks on the rest of the roster.
Mm-hmm. Another place I've been dying to talk about, and then I'm going to go to Tristan's second question here. JPix29 says, "Do you see Filipovic's tweet? ? Jets are 27-5-1 with a healthy Sandberg with a 130-72 goal differential." And I'm glad we get to talk about it on a night like tonight where they play against a guy that I think Dylan Sandberg's slowly reaching that kind of status in Jacob Slavin. I don't think he's quite there, but the mold and what he's really become and what he means to this team defensively. I know we talked about it when he got hurt, but now you're seeing like another aspect come out with how much more confident he is at jumping into the play O zone. The stretch passes are a lot more crisp and like creating offense the other way. Dylan Sandberg's quickly become my favorite story for the Winnipeg Jets this season. They have a second top pairing level defenseman. If there was an NHL award, and I know there's been talks of it more and more, and we saw Marc-Edouard Vlasic talking about it this last couple of weeks, for top defensive NHL defenseman, he's got to be in the top 10. The level we're seeing out of him and what it means for the rest of this team, I'm thinking about putting him on my next jersey at this point. Dylan Sandberg has been an absolute treat to watch, and seeing some of those team stats that come with his emergence is crazy.
How do you feel about Zuch40's comment that Sandberg is prime Vlasic?
I could see him getting there. I don't know if he's there yet, but I think he's going to have a bit more offense than Vlasic even had. Like,
yes,
where he's gone is just, he's still like, obviously we talked about that first play today. Looks tough on him with that pass, but how much of that he's cleaned up in his game, how much he actually shuts down and stops. Like, we see that play early on. The second line doesn't score on it, but Sandberg just stops an odd man rush, turns it up to Pionk, who fires a slap shot from the center ice. Rockstar shit again. Like, I'll say this, if you're a fan of Rockstar hockey, I get the love for Neil Pionk. There's some good stuff in there to enjoy. Yep. And then the Kochkip like fumbles it and gives it up to Vlad, and the line gets a chance there. But it's just how smart he's become, how quickly he shuts down plays, and now how good he's become at either jumping into plays or moving the puck up quick. It's been a joy to watch, man. They have a real one there. They got to get him inked to as long as possible.
Yeah, they need to lock him up because that completely changes the look of the defense for the Winnipeg Jets. We got to see it firsthand this year when he missed that time. Just the domino effect is absolutely incredible. Not only on just the lineup, right, because you're losing a big piece and you've got to try to fill holes. The way that Neil Pionk plays is a completely different player. You transform him from, we got to see it tonight, right? The two faces of Neil Pionk, the Jekyll and the Hyde. Neil Pionk giveth and he taketh away. Like, it's just, but when Sandberg isn't in the lineup, it's only the bad version for the most part, right? It changes Pionk, it changes the look of the entire defense, and it changes the way that the team plays around it as well. And we're not even at his peak yet. I don't,
there's still a level there. There's still a step there.
He could probably show more offense if he doesn't have to stay home covering Pionk so heavily, right? He knows that Pionk is the guy that likes to jump up there and has those offensive skills. So that's kind of what the game plan in their relationship is. So that's what he does. But if he was in a situation where his defensive partner was a bit more defensively responsible, you'd probably be seeing him jumping up even more than what he's starting to do now. Yeah, there's still another level to his game, and it's already at a pretty high spot. So, yeah, they need to get him inked, and they need to get him inked soon. Although not all of the chat seems to agree. Still says, whoa, slow down, talking about Old Dylan Sandberg here.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
I think so too.
I'll go to town for him. I'm getting in all the big accounts mentions now to make sure you credit Dylan Sandberg. He's been like the best story individually for me this year, and it seems like some of the chat agrees here. I'm gonna give some of those out, and then I'm gonna ask you about this take from Jeff Cabeals. This is a good one. Michael Hems had said, kind of saying the same thing we were here. I think the thing that's so impressive is not at all his defensive impact. His offensive development has been so good, and I think that's where you get even more excited about the player and what his potential ceiling is. Because I agree with you, Mikey. I do think there's another step here and another level to his prime, and I think we're seeing him break out this season into that level player, and it's been a ton of fun. Tristan Panchek has said, I've been loving Sandberg as well. There's a few different ones here. Dylan Sandberg is their second most important defensive player from Doug Henderson. Hard to disagree there at all. So the take from Jeff Cabeals, Dylan Sandberg will be on the Olympic team for Team USA at the next Olympics. Your thoughts?
Barring injury, yes, I think he's on that team. And I'm basing it on the way that we've seen the progression up to this point, and the belief that I think, again, this is a little wish casting, this is a little long-term planning, but in my head, Neil Pionk is having the career year that he's having right now. That lasts right through to a very long summer for the Jets playing hockey, hopefully. At which point he cashes in real big on the free agency market, and that'll give Sandberg the opportunity to really start to show that he's not just one of the elite defensive guys in the league, which I think we're going to be talking about that going forward, but that he has enough offense that he's an impact player in that spot as well. So yeah, I'm gonna follow your suit on the Sandberg train. I'm gonna say yeah, he's on that Olympic team, barring injury.
I like it. I dig a good hot take like that. I just whew, the narrative build he would need, I think, just to get into that level of spotlight.
It's easy to build a narrative when you're a championship team. That's all I'm saying.
True. And I guess that goes to, though, Parwana says Sandberg and JMO is going to feed families with good contracts. And that's what's exciting here. I think Dylan Sandberg is the guy we're poised to be the most excited about the next contract in Winnipeg. But it's time. T-Will asks, and it's been a while. Has Nik answered the question? Or are the Jets a wagon? Mikey, before Nik answers, are the Jets a wagon?
We've been trying to caution quite a bit over the course of the year. During the crazy hot start, we were trying to tap the brakes and caution. When things were going bad, we were still kind of in the same vein, not going too low with it, but not still being like, maybe, I don't know, I need to see more. The fact that they've gone without Adam Lowry at the most important position on the ice for this long and not shown a drop in their consistency. I think we're approaching wagon territory, man. There are some wheels. There's some type of covered thing on the top. Like we're getting there. This is something special. And I touched on it real quick at the beginning of the show, but it's the special teams. It's the power play, especially, and that penalty kill. It feels different this year. It feels different. How do you feel?
Hard to say they're not a wagon right now. Like, this has been some kind of run, and it's one of those things too. This is what their second 7-game winning streak. I believe they've done 3 now at 6+.
Yep.
And one of those things I was talking about before the season, how the one thing in this core, it's concerned me in years past, is that when they've kind of lost it, they've lost it for long stretches and not been able to put it back on the rails. And they've completely destroyed that idea this season with what they've done here now, getting it back to this level. They're beating some of the best competition in the East right now. The Winnipeg Jets are a wagon right now. Like, I don't see the argument that they aren't.
Yeah.
The power play is gonna put up a historic level. We saw Dimitri post an insane stat about that the other day, where they cannot score for the next, what was it, 25, 30 attempts
Yep.
and still be leading the league. That's become a legit weapon in 2/3 of their games this year. Do think we could see some more offense at 5-on-5 despite the big goal numbers. It's one of those things when the games get tougher,
Yep.
you want to be able to score more in those danger areas, and I think they've done better getting there. You've seen the Stars buy in at a level we haven't seen defensively in some time.
Yep.
There's just so much going right for this team. They're going to have 2 guys on a 50-goal chase. So the last years of some big contracts.
And do you notice how long you just went on talking about the things that are amazing with the Jets, and the words Connor Hellebuck never once came out of your mouth?
They're doing this without Adam Lowry. They have a Hart nominee level goaltender.
Yep.
And then I think this is an important point to talk about, and I wanted to get here tonight because this is what excites me. Earlier in the show, over on Twitch, Choices TK started talking about everything lining up to go for the Jets this year. Stars, Heiskanen gets injured month to month, and their big trade using their first brought in Granlund and Ceci, which I'm glad it wasn't Winnipeg doing that, and I was glad to see Dallas not doing something different with that space.
Yep. That
That was, in my opinion, a trade you look at as a win for Winnipeg. Avalanche obviously move off of Rantanen, though Nekis is kind of seemingly fit in like a glove over there, and I do think they're still going to make another move. Rantanen was pretty dangerous tonight. I'm kind of glad to see him out of the Central.
Yep.
The Canucks obviously get worse in the short term with the JT Miller deal, though I don't mind what they got in return nearly as much as consensus when you start looking at the big picture moving forward there. We'll see how that ages out. It just feels like the West is pretty open this year. The Jets haven't made their moves yet. The Dallas move kind of screams a panic move to me, and I'd rather other teams make the panic moves early. This just feels like a year, like they're going to have, 9 to 11 million cap space, depending on how these injuries work.
Yep.
They have the assets. They have their core playing at a level we haven't seen them play at to give you more hope on the upside. Chevy himself talked about how they're playing a brand of hockey that's committed to winning. I firmly believe the more patient Chevy is this year, the better an opportunity will be, and he's gonna swing, and he's gonna do something for this group to go over the top. This team's making me a believer right now, man.
Yep.
And there's just too much going their way, and looking at what the next month could mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Something's
their best bet is to wait, to kind of wait this out and be patient. They've never had more leverage, big picture wise, across the league than they do as a first place team. They're not dealing from a place of we're desperate, we need something to sneak in, we're chasing this, we're chasing that. They can, and Chevy's been accused of a lot of things. Making a panicked trade is never one of those complaints that we've really seen levied at him, right? If anything, people wonder that he's too patient, waits too long. So, yeah, this and I think that plays in their favor this time. So, I'm still worried. I'm still worried that it's that we don't get the big swing. I'm gonna stay nervous until it happens. But man, if they find a way to find that right piece, this is a special group.
As the chat's dubbing it, and there's an argument in the chat, the Wagon Peg Jets is what the name is going with here on the show tonight. Though I gotta disagree with DL14 saying the Jets should not do anything at the deadline, maybe depth moves only. I think that's a little too prisoner of the moment here, and this is the team that you bet on and bring in some real impact if you could find it. We'll see where that market goes, though. It's a pretty iffy one right now.
Yeah. And it feels more and more like it'll be that quote unquote hockey trade, something with term coming back as opposed to just a pure rental. But if it doesn't line up, they may still go to the rental market. So they've got options, like you said, $9 to $11 million, depending on how LTIR and things like that go between now and then. The options are there, the assets are there, the cap space is there. They just got to find that right fit, because this is a time to capitalize. The West is open. We're beating teams out of the East. Fuck it, let's just do it. Let's go.
Do you see how Friedman described it?
I did not. Hit me.
I'm trying to pull it up here word for word. I really liked what he described when he was talking about the Jets this week on 32 Thoughts. And I think I can't find it right now off the top of my thing. Too many fucking tweets. I got to get a life here. But he was talking about looking at the Jets and thinking that they had two needs. And what he dubbed it as was mobile beef. And he looks at the center group and wants a mobile big 2C.
Yeah.
And he looks at the D group and wants a mobile big defender.
Mobile.
And he said the key, it can't be stiff beef. It's got to be mobile beef. And hard to disagree. Like that kind of sums up exactly like the funny thing is every team in the league is looking for that come playoff time. But I don't think there's a better summary of what the Jets could use. That mobile beef up the middle, maybe a touch of scoring there. And that mobile beef defender, you're looking at a penalty killer who can move the puck a little bit, right? Those are kind of the two big needs here.
Yep. First off, Mobile Beef is my new band name. Come check us out. We're going to be great. And he's right. They can't just get somebody with size who can't move. It won't work if the size is the only factor that you're looking at. That, like you said, that beef's got to be mobile. We got to move that beef around.
They got some stiff beef back there right now.
We got enough stiff beef. We've got a slab hanging from the meat hooks. It's all right. We don't need another one. We've got frozen beef. We've got.
It was funny seeing the old stiff beef of the Jets staring down Jack Rozovic at the 15% expected goals chart tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
Gotta love that experiment that continues on, but I'm done talking about it. Yeah. It's too obvious. Yeah. Matt Hyman says, and this is something I agree with too, and I think this is where the bigger picture conversation here. Let's have a bigger picture look at why I think this is a year. I know we talk every year that the Jets need to do something big, but I think the way things are working, both with this core, how the Jets are set up contractually, and now with the economic future of the Winnipeg Jets, and the promises delivered to Scheifele and Hellebuyck, that this has become the moment. Matt Hyman says, I think it's a disservice that the Jets don't add, and I wholeheartedly agree. Yep. It's been well reported that the big promise to Hellebuyck and Scheifele was they were going to do everything to win them a cup in their time frame here. This is the last year that you have Nick Ehlers on a sweetheart deal. You only have one more year of Kyle Connor after this year on a sweetheart deal. You're getting top 5 level defensive play from Josh Morrissey on one of the best contracts in the NHL. You've gotten this emergence from Dylan Sandberg that I just slobbered about on a $1.4 million deal. Yep. There is just too many things. You got Gabe Velarde on the cheap before he's going to cash in on a bigger deal this summer. There's just too many good things. You got Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele chasing down 50 goals each. There's just too many good things with the core he's built, with the core he's committed to. Adam Lowry, DL14 says, Adam Lowry on a sweetheart deal, who's been an impact centerman in Winnipeg wearing the C. He's got too much going with everything he's invested his entire career with. And then you look into the not so distant future, guess what? The Winnipeg Jets are not going to be a cap ceiling team that much longer. There's no way with a barn that's not filling out that the Jets are going to spend $113.5 million on a roster. It's in my opinion up the pressure that this year has to be the shot.
Yep, you're right. It's more and more shaping out that this is the window. This is the time to do it. And like you said, we've got all those guys on currently, fantastic sweetheart deals. We don't know who's going to be around, who's going to re-sign, who's not, right? Who may surprise us and elect for some type of free agency. We don't know how long this assistant coaching staff is going to stick around to keep running this ridiculous power play, right? You get national attention like this, and all of a sudden other teams come start calling real quick. So yeah, it feels like this has to be the year that you kind of push the chips in and see if you can find a way to make that big run, because everything is lining up for it. You can't just let it pass you by.
Craig Zamzow says exactly what I'm thinking here. Need more teams to drop off out of the race to free up UFAs. This year is for big game hunting. And I think you're going to see these teams, and this has been my theory all year. Some of these teams that are spending big money on their rosters or were expected to compete, that are stuck in these wild card races, sometimes you see those ownership groups and those GMs get a little frisky. We've seen Chevy take advantage of those situations. Stastny was a late decline from St. Louis. Nino out of Nashville, same idea. I think that's the avenue where you're going to look to see something come out of it. I caught myself watching today wondering how does Chevy find the next Nino that's a center? Talk about a guy that I'd love to find the center version of. But Chevy's been strategic, and I really do think seeing what some of the West around them have already done, Vegas is going to do something big at some point. They always do.
Yep.
I just think the window's there. This team's playing at a level that you can't dispute. And you have the assets, the cap, and a future that looks pretty bleak as far as being a cap ceiling team. I think the dart's now. It's got to be now.
And you've got an easy sell to whatever player, right? If somebody does have some type of trade protection on their deal, this is a chance for you to go out and win a cup on a team that's been at in or near first place the entire season. Everybody likes to talk about nobody wants to ever go to Winnipeg. No one's ever going to want to go to Winnipeg. Winning fixes everything. Winning changes fucking everything. So many shithole cities have had, players want to go there because they're winning at the time. So guys will chase cups, guys will chase success. If we can show that we're going to be doing this and we're real and serious and committed, you may start to see some of those, guys with trade protections go, all right, I'll take a rental run at this.
Well, that's the thing too, and I'll say this: the Jets have this going for them too. We've talked to some guys around the league, and honestly, as much as the conversation here was about Blake Wheeler, it was very well known around the league that the Jets dressing room and culture was somewhere you wanted to avoid. Since guys like Dylan and stuff have left, and that's a guy that wanted to stay and really truly enjoyed his last couple of years here, those kind of positive stories of experiences Winnipeg sell the team as well, right? That stuff gets out there. All these guys are close. The hockey community is small. So I do think the Jets have momentum in that regard as well. Like Connor Hellebuyck's a star level talent in the Hart race. All of a sudden you get to go play with that guy behind you. That's a sell. Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor being in the top 3 to 5 in goals when it's all said and done. That's a selling point to guys to come here. The fact that they're top in the league and they're on like a President's Cup case. I think there's going to be opportunities here, and I'm excited to see what Chevy does. I think this is the year.
Yep, 100% agree. We'll just have to see what I think we're going to be surprised in the end by the move that he makes. It's really kind of feeling it like one of those years where it's a player we didn't really expect, kind of out of left field, and I just hope it's the right one.
Craig Zamzow says there was concern about the loss of Dylan, but Sandberg more than filling the void on a bargain contract. Sandberg's emergence trumps absolutely everything on a contract that low. Though it is kind of funny, I almost feel like slotting Dylan behind him right now would be kind of a problem solver for what this team's looking for.
Yeah.
But that opening sure developed, in my opinion, the best story for the Winnipeg Jets. And it's maybe something I hope they learn from when it comes to making a decision on number 4 this summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throwing that out there.
Yep.
Here's one. You want to? Every show we're gonna fantasy book one. What if Boston blows it up? Does Brad Marchand waive to come to play for a team for a couple months after they've rolled his team 14-3 combined in 2 games? Does that leave an impression on a guy of that stature?
On a lot of guys, I think you can maybe make that case. I don't think Marshy jumps on that one, unfortunately. But
He's a different cat.
It's an interesting thought. That's definitely an interesting thought.
Michael M says Monahan's really been the only midseason acquisition that was actually rumored ahead of time. The key is late season teams that drop off. I'm telling you, that's the secret sauce. Brad River Revel does not like Marchand. I'm saying, hey, if he's on the team you're cheering for, I think you'll love him. I would have to do there'd be a lot of soul searching on that one for me as a Habs fan. That's a tough one to stomach. T. Will says, sure, why don't we sign Hartman too while we're at it? Hey, the NHL finally caged up the rat. 10 games for that guy. Good. Gets suspended once every 60 games. That was good to see.
Yeah, it's just time for his scheduled vacation.
Yeah, he's getting some extra weeks in there too with the break. He knew what he was doing.
That's right.
Choices TK says put Marchand with Perfetti and make it the prick line.
Okay. All right. You can maybe sell me there
We
a
got
little bit then.
We got some sales. We got some sales going.
I could work with that.
What else has been going on? There was somewhere else I wanted to go with this, but my mind's kind of blanking right now.
Just
Craig Zams, here's a good question for you. Craig Zamzo says, "Who are the landing strip's top 3 deadline acquisitions?" It's a tough one right now. The market's in a tough space. Let me pull up some of these trade bait boards.
if Calgary ever decides to live in reality and stop acting like they want to
Yeah.
buy, I've been pretty heavy on Mackenzie Weegar on the back end. I think would be a real nice
Yeah.
ad, but I'd be happy with either of the two Calgary D-men, I think.
Unfortunately, they shut that down this week, and
Oh, did
Kadri too. No, maybe they go on a big losing streak. They're looking to buy Dylan Cousins, apparently.
I saw that. They want to take a shot at Cousins.
Yeah, my ideal candidates are guys that are necessarily on the fringe. Like one guy I talk about all the time, and I believe the Jets poked around at it last year. If Buffalo decided to sell Alex Tuck, though, that's probably a harder sell for them, given he's a local boy.
Yeah.
That's a guy that's interesting to me. I saw someone had sent me the fourth period was linking teams to stuff, and the Jets were linked to Byram Power, which was interesting. I'm not big on the idea of Byram, though Owen Power I've talked up. If you can get a guy like that before this cap increase, I think that's a good place to go. Max is Silent disagrees though in the chat. On the market right now, I was obviously hyping up Gord. Now he had a sports hernia, probably not an ideal ad there. Brock Nelson's an interesting one. Let's see where this market keeps it go. DL14 does name Brock Besser. He is a guy I do think the Winnipeg Jets will have a lot of interest in. Tweeted about this last week, but if he's available, it is very well known that the Jets were high on Brock Besser at his draft year. He went to UND. We know Chipman's been tied to UND forever. I could see Brock Besser being a guy, though I would wonder a little bit about the foot speed. That is the one concern with that. It feels a little Tyler Toffoli to me.
Yeah.
But I do think the Jets would be all over Brock Besser just with those past ties.
What are the Kraken doing? Because I feel like we can do some shopping with the Kraken here.
And that's it. That's the team I do think that is interesting in this, because they have the big version of what the Jets hope Stanley becomes in Jamie Alexiak, and that's probably why you're seeing that name come up now. They have some interesting forwards. You know, we've talked about Bjorkstrand. There's McCann.
Nice, yeah.
If they could, that's a team that I wonder if you could float some interesting things there, and they decide to kind of sell a little bit. Max is Silent brings up Pettersson, which that was an interesting one. He says Pettersson would have been perfect if he played the right side, and that's kind of where that spot got tricky for the Jets. It would have been hard to move a first-round pick for a guy that would have slotted in behind Sandberg and Morrissey, though he's a quality defenseman.
Yep.
If he would have been right-handed, I agree. That would have been an ideal guy. I like the fit in Van for Pettersson, slotting in right behind Hughes. I see a great question. Oh, never mind.
It seems we've got some love for you at McCann. That one, and Bjorkstrand. Max is Silent. Bjork. Yeah.
Greg Zamzo, the Bjorkstrand Ehlers combo. That's what's interesting about it too, right? Bjorkstrand has a little bit of term there.
That's if you can pitch it to Seattle as a little bit of a retool as opposed to just selling off, there might be something there to work with. That's one to watch, I think.
D. Will says there's no way Buffalo is tearing that team down again already. That fan base would burn to the arena to the ground, and they should. I would just never discount what dumb owners in sports teams might do.
Hey,
we just saw one of them trade Luka Doncic this weekend, and I am still racking my brain trying to make sense of an NBA trade right now. We're days later at this point, and I'm into conspiracy theories trying to make sense of this deal.
My favorite video trend right now are all the people trying to do the trade on any of the video games for NBA. And you can't. The game's like, no, we're not making that trade. That's ridiculous. Why would we do this? That's what we need. Is there a trade like that out there for us? Can the hockey gods deliver us one like that?
Zooch 40 names one I'd love to look at in the summer in Simon Nemec. Big Simon Nemec believer.
Yep.
Zero Ghost 8 throws out Jacob Truba. Zooch 40 says Gudis, who will not wave to Canada, that prick. Tanev's mentioned, please don't bring him back. Choices wants to see Larson, which, hey, if they ever remove Larson, sign me up.
Yep.
Big Papa says, Nick, get unrealistic. Who are your dreams outside of EP40? I'm trying to keep my dreams realistic these days. You know, you can only get burned so many times. And I'm trying to bring you guys some realistic options here. Max of Silence says, don't hurt yourself trying to figure out the Luka deal. It's just perplexing. It is absolutely perplexing that $1 billion entity would make such a stupid decision on a whim like that. It past just Luka on the court, the whole business side of it is even dumber.
I honestly can't make sense of it outside of some weird conspiracy theories because there's no rational reason for it. There's no sport or business reason that you can convince me at the moment that would make sense. I haven't seen one. I'm waiting for one. If somebody's got it, hit me. But man, it's tough.
They're leaking that Bros 270, and he's still giving the NBA 28, 8, and 8. Man, like I think that's an impressive athletic
You don't
achievement
want him,
at that
quote
point.
Unquote, in shape because he's gonna fucking kill you then.
Dooch names one that I've been intrigued by.
Yep.
If Boston goes the other way,
See, this is where I thought you were going when you mentioned Boston earlier.
Left-handed D though too, and that's where it gets a little difficult unless you're willing to move somebody to the right side. Hampus Lindholm is an interesting one.
That's your guy. That's one you've been eyeing up for a while.
Big Papa's fantasy book in my Sandberg EK65 dreams too. I just don't see it as realistic, but that would be a fun one.
Harrison mentions it there. Erik Karlsson. You gonna go get him?
I would. I just don't think it's realistic. Yeah. Maybe he looks at the Jets and thinks he can win a cup here the next 2 years. I don't know.
If he looks at it and goes, "Ooh, they're going for it."
Luka just got traded. Who fucking knows these days, right?
Everything is possible. To quote
I'm not gonna say any trade idea is stupid at this point. Right. Let's do the 3 stars and get out of here. I want to thank all the chatters and for being here today. All the support I've gotten. That was one real cool thing that I got out of just making vague Twitter posts and having to shut down this show for a bit. The amount of messages and heartfelt messages about this show, about me personally, about my health has just been pretty incredible. And you all are awesome. Make this a lot funner and better place to be. So I just want to thank you for all the support, friends, family, everything. It's been crazy. We're back though. Let's keep the landing strip alive and well. And let's get into the 3 stars and get out of here.
Rick.
Rick won. Rick,
you're the winner tonight. You said the secret word. If this was Pee Wee's Playhouse, we'd have the yay! God damn, killing me.
Rick's first star over on Twitch is Nick's left ball. It's got me. You don't need the right one anyways. Right. Mikey, who's your 3 stars tonight?
The left ball is undefeated in the lineup without the right one, so you know what I mean? It's perfect. All right.
I gave up my right one for a 7-game heater here. That's what we're going with now. That's the story.
You sacrificed it to the hockey gods for a real big ad, so Chevy owes you now. You literally gave your left nut for it, or your right nut for it. All right, 3 stars. Number 3, I have Alex Macbeth Iafallo, and I'm calling him Macbeth because his hands are so filthy, they will never be clean. That pass in the first to Nino Niederreiter was dirty. It was filthy, disgusting. I fucking loved it. So I'm just giving it just for that one play. On that one play alone, he gets it. He deserves it. That was so good. Number 2, whipping boy, Eric Comrie. Because, man, like, we talked about the no goal support that he was given for so many of those games during the losing streak. So to have him go out, get the shutout, they actually pitch him a little bit of goal support. I'm going to give Comrie the second star just for the abuse that he suffered for the other games up to this point. And number one, it's probably cliche, but I'm gonna do it because I did this first a few games back. So I'm gonna call hipster on this one. Matt Prefontaine, you're the number one goddamn star tonight. Pulling goals off the board, adding goals onto the board. He is my hero. I love this guy. I want to be him. I want to learn from him. This is great. He's 6 for 7 on the season. He's incredible at what he does. So if Matt Prefontaine says it's a goal or not, that's the only person I'm going to believe going forward. So he gets my number 1 star.
Yeah, he's kind of the GOAT at understanding goaltender interference in a world where no one does. It's pretty impressive.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I was going to go him as the second star in this one. So good on you for giving him the bump. I'm going to go with the third star for me tonight. Nino Niederreiter, big goal early. Comes off a great play from Alex Iafallo. I'm glad you got there tonight. Continues to be a guy that I am interested in extending, man. Yeah, his value in that depth group comes ahead of a guy like Apples for me. So I'd like to see that move. And then first star. Come on, he got the shutout. He's been getting the criticism for the 7-game losing streak where he got like 11 goals, runs of support.
Yep.
Eric Comrie pitches a shutout in a well-earned one. Got some help from the goalie's best friend on that Rantanen look. But I'm excited for Eric Comrie, as in Ehlers We Trust calls him over on YouTube. Eric Comrie's been good, man.
Yes, sir.
First star for me. First star. But hey, thank you all for being here. Thanks for tuning in. We're back. Let's keep this thing going. It was great to be here. And we'll see you, what is it, Friday?
Friday.
Oh, I got a busy Friday night. We'll make this work, though. We'll make it work.
Oh, we'll make it work. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys all know the drill. Tell 2 friends, tell 2 friends. Rate, review, and remember the landing strip for your Winnipeg Jets postgame show.
Doug Henderson.